King's Quest IV, The Perils of Rosella, marks a landmark title for a multitude of reasons. 1. Look at the graphical differences. This marks the first use of Sierra's all-new engine called SCI, which made huge improvements over the old AGI engine. The new SCI, or Sierra's Creative Interpreter, ran in a higher resolution, which in turn led to greater freedom for artistic design and greater color depth. There was a version of the game made in the old AGI platform, fearing that many people just wouldn't be able to run this graphical powerhouse of a game. Sales figures quickly proved them wrong, and the AGI version was discontinued, so it's a bit of a rarity nowadays. Secondly, it's the first adventure game to feature a female lead. Instead of being the stalwart hero of the land, saving the kingdom, and the screeching damsel in distress, not only are you a gal in charge of the salvation of a kingdom, but saving two at the same time.
And thirdly, it was the first game, not just from Sierra but from anywhere, that was supporting these newfangled sound cards. For the uninitiated, before the advent of the sound card, we were completely dependent on the internal PC speaker, which was just one note and its annoying beep. We were also unable to control the volume of the thing, so eardrum perforation was a daily hazard of the early PC gamer.
And to take full advantage of this new technology, they brought in composer William Goldstein to score the game. You'll know him from scoring countless TV movies and Fame, the TV series. The game proper starts us right off where we left everyone. Graham's hat hasn't even hit the ground yet, and already we're embroiled in a pretty heavy plot. King Graham feels the best way to celebrate the return of his long-lost son and the sparing of his only daughter from being fed to a dragon is to have a heart attack and collapse in a heap on the floor. Rosella, obviously perturbed by her father's poor manners upon her triumphant return, sulks in the throne room as the magic mirror begins to glow and glisten. You'll find the magic mirror is the starting point for many a quest and the perfect all-purpose plot device. Through the mirror, the fairy queen and the ruler of a far-off land called Tamir has a deal for her. She knows of a tree that grows in her kingdom that can surely cure what ails King Graham and prevent him from dying. But quid pro quo, Rosella. Genesta basically dupes Rosella into being teleported over before telling her, "Oh yeah, I won't be able to teleport you back unless you can do this incredibly dangerous quest for me." Probably should have told you that beforehand, huh? She even left Graham's adventurer's hat lying on the floor, and it's a shame too, she would have looked really good in it. Her magical MacGuffin has been stolen by the evil fairy Lolotte, which not only grants her great power, but is also the lifeblood of Genesta, calling her to slowly wither and die. She disguises you in some peasant rags, gives you a few platitudes, and flits off back to her island paradise.
You're not really given any instructions, so you just kind of wander around what really is a beautiful landscape. Now, every King's Quest game up until this point has had its roots or somehow inspired by fairy tale lore, mythology, or fable, but Perils of Rosella is literally swimming in them.
The normal goody two-shoes procedure will serve you just as well as in all previous King's Quest games in the series. You'll run across the home of the 7 dwarves and, like a good little lady should, cleans up the place. For complete strangers. After breaking into their house. On a quest of life and death. Well, actually, if you've studied your Brothers Grimm, you'll see this as a logical conclusion, but seriously, who knows their fairy tales that well? Really, the only negative things I could say about King's Quest IV would be nitpicky and overcritical. So here we go. Remember what I said about the series' moral lessons about helping everyone you come across and getting your just rewards? Yeah, you rob Cupid in this game. You literally come across the eternal personification of love and peace splashing happily in an outdoor bath. You scare him away and steal his goddamn magic arrows. You have not only ruined the chances of anyone falling in love ever again, but also Cupid's livelihood. I mean, those are the tools of the trade. You just can't be going buying magic love arrows at Ace.
Now, one must only mention the word whale to any fan of the King's Quest series, and you will quickly find them at the fetal position at your feet. During one point in your adventures, you will have found yourself swallowed by a whale. Either in the spirit of Pinocchio or Jonah, well, probably in Pinocchio to avoid any religious references. Now, extricating yourself from the whale is actually pretty simple, as long as you were diligent enough to pick up everything that was not nailed down, and via this process, you will find in your possession a rather large feather.
The trick is to get the whale to sneeze you out, but first you have to scrabble up the whale's tongue to reach it. This is why the expected completion time of this game is 12 hours, instead of the normal 2 hours. The tongue, as you may have surmised, is a slippery little sucker, and you will hear this sound over and over and over and over.
Over and 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 over.
You're going to slip a lot.
This is a protracted exercise in trial and error frustration. So infamous this part, they ended up lampooning it in a future Leisure Suit Larry game. Only the true master of King's Quest can do this on their first try. Eventually, you'll come face to face with Lolotte herself, who really doesn't seem all that disagreeable. Sure, she lives in an evil mountaintop castle with winged minions of indescribable horror and stole the life-giving amulet from Genesta so to further her power and stranglehold on the populace, but just as far as we know, she's a victim of society. And sure, she throws you in the dungeon for suspecting you, and rightly so, of working for Genesta. Just shows how astute she is. Upon the pleading of her son Edgar, who might fancy you a bit, she decides to give you the benefit of the doubt and sends you out on little mini-quests to prove your innocence. You must procure for her a wild unicorn, which you lull into a false sense of security and friendship before pulling out the rug and selling her out into a life of slavery.
Moral code my ass.
Then off to find the hen that lays the golden eggs, which you'll find at a nearby ogre's house and guarded by a familiar-looking dog. After sticking a live chicken in your underwear and delivering it back, Lolotte says she has one more little task for you before getting a great reward and your freedom. Pandora's Box, the root of all evil. It's here you might start thinking, hey, Lolotte may not have my best interests at heart here, but lacking any kind of choice, you're off to fetch the box and my favorite part of the game. Oh, you may have realized I haven't really mentioned the magical fruit thing that you came here for in the first place. Well, you can kind of go over and grab it at just about any time, and it's probably the simplest task in the entire game. Downer. Anyway, night has fallen at this point, and yes, this game does operate on a timer, so take too long doing all this and you're boned. The door you need to get through is in a cemetery, but has no obvious key. The trick is the haunted mansion over here, filled with ghosts whose problems you need to solve before getting access to the key. This involves digging up corpses, dodging zombies, and grave robbing. Moral code. But nah, seriously, it's all for the good of the ghosts, and your reward for fetching crap for the ghosts about 6 times is the skeleton key. Once at the box, you can open the thing if you want to be responsible for the sudden and catastrophic release of all the world's evil if you really want to, but just haul it back to Lolotte for your great reward. She is nice enough to let you marry into the family by hooking you up with her homely green-skinned son Edgar, who has really fallen for you at this point. The marriage is set for the next day, and you're escorted to the nicest room in the tower to prepare for the festivities. Sure, some might argue that Lolotte may not have your best interest in mind since she locked you up in the room, took all your possessions, and forced you to marry against her will, but think of the trade-off.
Having Lolotte as your mother-in-law, learning all of her tricks, becoming a sorceress, being next in line to become the all-powerful ruler-natrix of Tamir? No. Of course, your moral compass gets the better of you, and you plan your escape. Idiot.
Edgar, believing that if you truly love someone, you set them free, sneaks up to your room and slides a rose beneath your door with a key to free yourself. Using this opportunity to recover your carefully crafted collection of useless junk and waltzing past every guard in the castle, all of which are sound asleep. Seriously, is Alexander in the basement somewhere with that stupid bag of sleeping powder again? How could every guard be asleep at their post on this, the eve of a shotgun wedding? You climb your way up the impossible-to-navigate spiral stairs, which have caused just as many unconstrained screams of frustrations as the damn whale, and seriously, who wouldn't put a few railings up on a 3-foot-wide spiral staircase with a 40-foot fall in all directions? This probably explains why there are no guards at Lolotte's door, since none of the guards want to risk going up there, and you proceed to murder Lolotte in her sleep. Talk about conflicting moral lessons. The game series rewards the non-violent solution, and instead of attempting to steal the amulet or diplomacy, you pull back on Cupid's bow and fire an arrow directly into her heart. This kills her, since love is anathema to her, and the mere introduction of love and mercy into her bloodstream is a deadly poison.
I wish for you to have a heart.
She swears revenge on you with her dying breath as you snag the amulet. Not only now are all the guards in the castle fully awake, but now genuflect to you as you pass. For a few extra points, you could retrieve the hen since it belonged to Genesta anyway, apparently, and also Pandora's box. You can replace the box back in its resting place and lock the door behind you, eternally ensuring that it would never be opened. A quick trek over to Genesta's palatial home, and you can tell Genesta is the good witch because this place has railings! You return Genesta's amulet, she thanks you profusely, hugs her return chicken, and I hope you remember to grab that fruit you needed to rescue King Graham because, for some arbitrary reason, it's too late to go back and get it at this point. Though with Genesta's power of teleportation, we could have it in hand in less time than it would take to even say it, and blinks you back home. She also magically knows of Edgar's rather selfless heroism in helping Rosella escape and convincing Lolotte to give her a chance to prove herself worthy of living. This rewards him with an all-expenses-paid trip to the island and transmogrifying him into something more befitting his heart. So, nasty green-skinned Edgar out, handsome prince in. Again, the moral lessons get shady. Whatever happened to, it's what's on the inside that counts. And don't give me the excuse saying, that's Edgar's true form. No, it isn't. He is just as homely and green-skinned as his mother, and Genesta is all like, well, we can't possibly have a romantic lead that looks like this, can we? Poof. Edgar takes all this in stride and takes advantage of the element of surprise and proposes to Rosella on the spot. She mulls it over, but decides she really must be off to save her dad, again leaving Edgar on the wayside without so much as a thank you. The rest is your standard happy ending fare. Come back home, force feed the fruit to your dying father, wakes up good as new, and all is once again good and well in the kingdom of Daventry.
Now, you may feel like I'm being a little hard on these games, and while they may not have aged very well, and the sensibilities of the modern gamer may have changed a bit, this game had a huge impact on gaming as a whole, and it was actually one of my favorites growing up. I tease because I love. However, the next game in the series I can tease all I want for reasons which are my own. Cedric!